MAGA news for those who missed the last Summer Games Fest. During the Summer Games Fest, this idiot, goddamn, the image didn't load. This idiot stood on stage during the Splitgate section and insulted a bunch of game devs, and he wore a hat. Yo, shout out to goddamn Hero with the sub. You said that's somehow another L for PS4 niggas? This motherfucker stood on stage, insulted a bunch of game devs during the launch of Splitgate 2, and then he also wore this hat, Make FPS Great Again. So what happened was a bunch of people online were like, I'm not playing Splitgate 2. He's trying to make some type of political statement. So he came online, tried to apologize, and say that it wasn't a political statement, it was just a joke. Although they pulled up some tweets of this nigga dick sucking Elon. So I don't think that's true. I think he's trying to save face. And then also after he apologized, news came out that another reason people were going to boycott it is not only did they not fucking with him politically, but then also it came out the bundles, the stuff that you can buy in the game was $145. Or I mean, not $80, my bad. It launched at $80. So it had crazy microtransactions. So not only did people not like his politics and being a dickhead instead of just promoting his game was wildly overpriced for a free-to-play game. And people were just like, I'm not fucking with this shit, bro. So he hopped his ass online and tried to explain why there were $80 microtransactions in his game. And just listen to this explanation because it's fucking stupid, bro.
And I said, Derek, like, did you know we had an $80 bundle? Like, this is news to me. Like, what the heck? Like, that makes no sense.
And just for clarification, this is the CEO of the company that created Splitgate.
And he didn't. And essentially what happened is our former head of monetization, who happened to come from Call of Duty, was with us for less than a year and was very aggressive on the pricing. And so actually prior to his departure, we actually originally had founders packs at $100. And I said, Derek.
So if you're not following, he's saying as the CEO of the company, he didn't know the bundles was going to be so expensive. He had somebody who used to work on Call of Duty and he set the price and he just didn't know. The CEO just didn't know. And it got so much backlash, they dropped the price. I call bullshit on this, especially after he dropped the hat. He looks fucking crazy. How are you, the owner of the company, not know what's going on with your game? And you know what's crazy? To play devil's advocate, I feel bad for the dev team. Because imagine for the past couple years, you've been working on Splitgate 2. And I'm going to be honest, I like the game. It's decent. But imagine you've been working hard on this game. You get to the point where it's about to launch and the CEO of your company stands on stage in front of millions of people and makes a dumbass political statement. Then the business practices of it are horrible as well, and people are boycotting your game now. CEOs just wilding, just wild, just the definition of a fucking fraud, bro. Fucking fraud. Like, bro, exactly, Normie, bro. You hired the dude. You knew what he was about to do. You thought you could get away with it, and because you can't, now you're saying, oh, I didn't know. So I think it's corny that he stood on stage and threw a bunch of games under the bus to promote Splitgate 2. But then when his game got in trouble, he also threw one of his developers under the bus. He said it was some Call of Duty guy. Didn't you just stand on stage and talk shit about Call of Duty? Matter of fact, I think there were some tweets about it too. Splitgate 2 developer doubles down on their criticism of Call of Duty. They stood on stage and criticized Call of Duty. And then they say, somebody tweeted, make FPS great again in reference to the hat. And he said, which Call of Duty does your team make again? I can't tell. This is a PR disaster. You're talking shit about Call of Duty, but then you hired one of them to be on your team. So you was trying to make that Call of Duty money, man. You're a fucking fraud. In 4K caught, man. In 4K caught. So I don't know what's going to happen to Splitgate 2. It's unfortunate because it is a good game, but there's a lot of people online that are not fucking with it because he on some goofy shit, bro. He's on some goofy shit. Think, Mark. Think. Yeah, that's that karma. What else I got for you? Oh, a scathing article came out in regards to the development of Dragon Age Veilguard and why it didn't turn out the way that it did. And this dude summarized it. Send Potato. It says, Jason Schreier has released a scathing article regarding what went wrong with Dragon Age Veilguard's development. Here are the highlights. BioWare was under immense pressure to succeed after the failure of Anthem and Andromeda with Veilguard to stay afloat. That's obvious. The original concept was smaller and a single-player experience. The original game was called Dragon Age Dreadwolf, from what I remember, before they changed the name. EA forced the team to pivot to a multiplayer live service format in 2017. So they wanted to make a single-player traditional BioWare adventure.
TBH, here's a fun fact.
But they wanted them to make a multiplayer live service game, the EA executives.
Does nothing to them. You have to shoot to kill them. Only city with more powerful roaches than Gotham is Cleveland. Those roaches can only be contained in the Phantom Zone, like General Zod.
Yo, shout out to Halfway Okay for raiding the stream. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So yeah, they wanted to put multiplayer, but they didn't want to do that. The creative director resigned after finding out they wanted to force them to make a multiplayer game. Matt Goldman replaced him and aimed for a lighter, pulpy tone fitting for online gameplay. So originally they did want to make a darker, more mature RPG, but because EA wanted this multiplayer live service game, they switched it up and made it more lighthearted and goofy. Anthem's failure in 2019 raised internal doubts about repeating mistakes, so they were dealing with doubt, you know what I'm saying? Typical. Shout out to Chris with the 10 gifted subs.
One of each of those fucking Batarians' eyes out.
Shout out to Chris with the 10 gifted subs. Appreciate you. In 2020, the project was abruptly pivoted back to a single-player game without proper pre-production. So they wanted to make a single-player mature RPG. EA CEO said, no, you're going to make a live service game because we need to milk our consumers. So they switched up what they had into a multiplayer game. They're 3 years into development from 2017 to 2020. EA says, make a single player game. So now they got to make a single player game without any proper preparation. The team was given 18 months to overhaul a live service game into a single player game and make the story make sense. Tight timelines led to rushed decisions and a lack of meaningful choice in the gameplay. Multiple delays didn't allow redesigns, just extensions of flawed structures. Feedback from alpha testing in 2022 pointed to a lack of powerful impact of narrow decisions. And last-minute attempts to reintroduce meaningful choices were shallow and constrained. BioWare brought in a second team from the Mass Effect project in 2023 to help finish the game. Cultural clashes arose. Dragon Age's team was laid back. Mass Effect team was top-notch and structured, top-down and structured. So it was two different ideologies. It was like OKC trying to team up with the Pacers. Mass Effect's leaders rewrote and added new scenes, including the game's emotional finale. Dragon Age leads were frustrated, denied similar resources, and excluded from key meetings. So the original team was kicked out, and the Mass Effect team was given lead. Long-standing resentment emerged over EA favoring Mass Effect internally. Originally, multiplayer version's snarky tone felt outdated. There were concerns it would resemble Forspoken, led to last-minute dialogue rewrites, so they thought it would be cheesy. Voice actor strike and overtime demands hindered these changes. Initial trailer looked like Fortnite alienating the RPG fan base, and the marketing failed to properly convey the game's actual tone. I don't need to read the rest of this. You get the gist of it. So, why did I bring this article up? I keep trying to say on this stream, these game developers are artists. And I went on a whole tangent in the latest podcast that will be up tomorrow morning. But to give you a little sneak peek, an example being is Expedition 33, one of the best games of the year. It's made by 30 people, and most of that studio comes from Ubisoft. They're former Ubisoft employees, which is world-renowned known for making slop, open world slop. They left, made their own studio, had complete creative control, and made a complete fucking banger. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of times it's not the developers. They're artists that want to make dope shit. You think these niggas want to make Call of Duty number 32? Unfortunately, the publisher's footing the bill. So there has to be some happy medium, and I think these publishers have overstepped their boundaries, and they're forcing bad ideas on the artists, and that's why we keep getting bad art. I think the most scathing part about this article is essentially Dragon Age Veilguard was supposed to be a hardcore RPG that was made in only a year and a few months. It's actually mind-blowing they were able to pull this off, because I think the game is like a 6. It's okay, and they did this in like a year and a half. All while dealing with a bunch of internal drama. For the last time, learn these CEOs' names. The CEO of EA is Andrew Wilson. The CEOs of Ubisoft, the goofy-ass Gamont family. The CEO of Activision was a sexual assaulter, but thankfully EA got him the fuck up out of there. Learn him. And fuck Ronnie 2K. He's not a CEO. but fuck him too. Matter of fact, fuck Ronnie. Other news, the Go Woke, Go Broke community, they are eating themselves. So Culture Crave tweeted this out, and it said, first look at James Bond in the upcoming game. And this guy, Steve Baker, responds to the James Bond tweet and says, look at this woke garbage. Nathan Drake Bond is a skip for me. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. As Dell says, straight white men with gray eyes who like guns and seducing women is now considered woke. We are now witnessing the snake eat its own tail. Generic white men in video games, the default character. Because if you've never seen a Bond movie, Bond be busting down baddies, be shooting up people. Bond is the quintessential idea of traditional masculinity.
Just reminded me to unsub.
It's now considered woke, ladies and gentlemen.
Selena sees this month's bank statements.
And God forbid, if this game runs on the Unreal Engine 5, which according to Twitter is also considered woke, these niggas are gonna lose their minds. I say that to say, these people are fucking dorks, losers. And this shit, I've been saying, I said, give it another year or two. This shit is gonna become a joke, and it is. They don't even know what they're fighting for anymore. You get some bitches, bro. A bunch of desert dick ass niggas just sit on the internet now. Yeah, Bond is considered woke now. Generic white men, guys. So if you're a generic white man in my chat, shout out to you. You guys are considered woke. Everything World War woke, guys. World War woke. And then keeping it in the realm of woke news, during the Summer Games Fest, a Wu-Tang game was announced. It's called Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver. It looks like it's an action adventure beat 'em up with like Wu-Tang music. Don't quote me on that. I need to see more gameplay, but it looked pretty cool. It was one of the standouts from the Steam, from the Summer Games Fest. Well, Twitter didn't like that. According to Masters of TDS, a world-renowned woke detector, he says, "Sweet baby ink detected." That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All the incels on the internet did some digging, and it turns out the developers behind the new Wu-Tang Clan game, they've got some consulting from Sweet Baby Inc. That's right. The company that consults on making sure that you have culturally sensitive content on a game about hip hop and black culture is now considered woke. Brass Lion Entertainment's long rumored game has finally been revealed. Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver, created with direct involvement from Kim Blair and Cameron Wild. Speak with your wallets, people. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. A game about black culture that got consulting from black people is considered woke. And I'm hearing, I don't know, I think I read it on Reddit or something. The way this game would have not been considered woke is if the Wu-Tang Clan game was developed by the new white Black Panther. For those who are not following Marvel comic books, let's see, what is it? Marvel Knights, white. In this story, T'Challa has a it's not canon, it's like a side, it's just a different like Earth 3 type story. In this story, in issue 1, T'Challa is older, and his mother says, "Hey, we need an heir to the throne. I need you to bust something down." Now, at this point in this story, Storm is no longer alive. She passed away. So T'Challa runs back to his old thing in America, which was a white woman. The day this book released last week, soon as it hit store shelves, Dr. Umar hopped out of his bed like... Now, I think I read on Reddit or some forum somewhere that the white Black Panther is the only way that this game would not be considered woke. He has to consult the Wu-Tang Clan game because only a mixed interracial baby that looks like Logic would understand how to culturally create a Wu-Tang Clan. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Only Dr. Phil will understand what it means when it comes to cash rules everything around me. Ryan Gosling, Jake Gyllenhaal, the MAGA Panther. Only logic can save us, bro. Have they been calling the White Panther woke? The only people that are like super up in arms about the White Panther people are the people that don't actually read the comic, because technically he's not white. He's mixed. They just made him look like this. Also, I don't believe this nigga gonna live. It's only chapter 1 that's out. It's 6 chapters. We'll see how this story ends in 6 months. I'm keeping an open mind. And also it's contextual. But like a lot of people have been using it on Twitter that don't read comic books as like a gotcha moment. They race swapped. How do you feel? How do you feel? Yeah, it's not even canon and whatever, bro. The Oreo Panther. So yeah, the woke community, the go woke, go broke community, they are eating themselves.